Hello YouTube and welcome to Beyond All Reason. This is kind of a video for me and my community, but if you're struggling with bar super basics, feel free to watch it and maybe it'll help you out. We're doing a community event in the Wolfwind Discord, just to go over some basics for some of the players in here who may not play as much, but want to have a good time when we do community events in this game, because we do that quite often. Bar's a lot of fun, and it's a lot of fun with a lot of people, but it's a little bit boring and frustrating for some people when the same two or three people, Titan and Loku, end up becoming the powerhouses in every match. And I have a vested interest in getting people in my Discord better at the game, so that the games can last longer and be more interesting. So just a disclaimer, Titan and I are not pros. Titan's here. He's going to help me in the VC talk about stuff. We got a bunch of people from the Discord in here with us. They're going to be asking questions when we get done. We are not professional high-level bar players. We simply play the game a little bit more than the other people in the Discord. But we do have an understanding of fundamentals. So if you're a completely new player and you want a video that isn't going to talk about high-level technical stuff that's difficult to understand for somebody who's completely new to RTS, then this might be the video for you. All right, let's get started. Let's oh, I don't know what map to start on. I wonder. Let's do we play on maps with lots of metal a lot. So what about the like Alter Divide Titan? I think that would be fine.
Yeah, I think that would work.
It's got lots of metal in your near your starting zone. It's worth noting for you guys who are watching, I didn't turn on any of the experimental build options, because everything you can learn, all the scaling things you need to know apply to when we use those options, and your early game will be the same regardless. So just keep that in mind. So let's go over some super basics. I know some of you already know a lot of the things about this game, but I'm gonna kind of start fresh just in case. Um, so the first thing to note is this wind speed. Knowing how to understand this and read this is important. All right. Um, let's go ahead and place down. So the first thing that we can look at checking this map is that the minimum wind speed for this map is a 4, because of the little 4 up here at the top. The maximum wind speed for this map is 19, and then the big number in the middle is the current wind speed. And you can actually read the little readout here that says current wind risk is 7, which is the percent of time wind speed will be below 6. It is better to build solar collectors when average wind speed is below 5 for Armada or 6 for Cortex. So only 7% of the time will wind speed be inefficient for energy scaling. Most of the time, wind is better. Most of the time. So the way I like to start is I'll build 2 metal at the start with my commander, and you want to build the metal extractors first because you have some starting bank here, but it's not enough to get through a factory energy wise. After 2 metal extractors, I like to go into 2 wind, because you can see now my wind is starting to get low. And around now is when you decide what factory type you want to use. We'll use bots for this one. It's important to keep in mind, though, which factory you're going to use based on the terrain. I'm doing bots here because of these hills. I might want to put defenses on these hills. Bots are faster. This is a big map. Vehicles struggle with terrain. Titan, what's the hotkey to check terrain values? Is it like F?
I haven't played in a bit, so I'm not 100% sure what it is. I
I
think it's
don't.
like it's one of the function keys, though.
That's one of
I
the
think it might be
function
like F8.
F8? I think so. Yes.
Yeah.
No, this is height level.
Oh, yeah.
That's resources. Traversability. There it is. All right, so if I select my little green engineer here that's in the middle, I can zoom out and see that he can traverse pretty much the whole map. All the green is highlighted. But if I was using vehicles, you would see some places, like, for example, this mass extractor right here, vehicles can't really get up, at least not as quickly. All right, so we're going to turn that off because it's blinding. So you can see I'm a little bit behind now because I stopped to check the terrain thing for you guys. But normally what you would do after you build your 2 wind, you sit your factory, is you would actually build the third and fourth wind, is what I like to do. And then go build your 2 mass extractors. About then you have another engineer coming up. And I like to send my starting engineer out to expand immediately. I'll have my commander build another brick of wind. Another alternative thing you can do is if you have neighbors, if you're close, or if you're near people who might like to rush you, it might actually be in your interest to instead go for like 2 or 3 grunts after the first engineer rather than going through the second constructor, because these constructors are 120 metal. You could get almost 3 grunts out, or almost 3 grunts out for the same amount of cost. So you could get a little bit of early game defense. It's also important to know that depending on the map and who you're playing with, might be worth getting early light laser towers with your second engineer and perhaps an anti-air as well. Um, I'm stalling because I dilly dallied a little bit getting my build order up. The next thing that's important though when it comes to getting all these things in order, especially on big maps. On this one, it's not as important. It's still worthwhile. Yeah, looking at the display here. But on a lot of the maps we play as a community, there's a lot of reclaim. Build build a couple of these reclaimers. If you go bots, especially, build these reclaim slash repair bots, and you can come down here to the reclaim function and just drag a box. Go drag a box. It'll automate it. They'll go do their own thing. They'll reclaim all the metal and energy that's inside the box. Getting energy with them is especially important early game, in my opinion. But getting metal can be just as good to boost you up and get to where you need to be. So I'm wasting energy. The next thing I like to do is build 3 starting converters. Go ahead and get that secondary economy up. By now, one of your starting engineers should be free. From what they're doing, and I like to take a route now. We're coming up on 5 minutes. I would normally probably be aiming to do this closer to 4 minutes or sooner, but go ahead and place down just one of the construction turrets. You don't need a brick of construction turrets at the start of the match. A lot of people, including me for a long time, make the mistake of, oh, I'm at about 20 metal, let me just go ahead and slap down, a big construction grid or start on T2. And that it's not a bad thing to do. But you want to get your timing down. A lot of the methodology to how Titan and I get so big so quickly, it comes down to the timing with which we expand, the timing with which we place things down. So for example, I usually don't like to go to T2 until around 40 to 50 metal per second, which you can actually get to incredibly quickly just on your starting metal and consistent energy scaling. Just your 4 starting mass and some energy scaling, and then maybe a couple expansions if you get the room to do so, you can still get to that 40 or 50 metal pretty fast. As you can see, I'm actually still not spending all my metal here, so I can probably go ahead and slap down another construction turret. And the reason I'm placing these the way that I am is to make sure that they hit a wide range of my metal extractors and the ability to assist my factory, as well as the wind that I'm constructing right now. So I can go ahead now and place down a couple more of these. Go ahead and get my scaling down. So right now we're looking at, I don't know, let's see, plus 20 metal income per tick based on metal extractors alone. with an additional soon to be, I don't know, 10 probably averaging out, accounting for it not quite being enough energy to keep these up 100% of the time coming in on the metal extractors. So about now, this would be a fine time, because I also have reclaim coming in, remember, to go ahead and go into T2. So we're at 7 minutes, and my T2 lab is down and coming out soon. I'm scaling wind. All right, so I'm going to stop building these converters now because I've caught up to my wind production with my build power. I'm also going to divert one of these constructors to help with the wind instead so that I build them quicker. I want to get these up fast, right? I want to fix this stall. The less often this happens, the better. I'm not spending my metal because I didn't have enough energy to meet the demand. So by microing one of my turrets away, you can see now I'm catching back up in my energy production. The metal converters are coming back on. We're at about a consistent 30 metal per second. And my T2 is building. It'll be done in 5 seconds. T2 before 9 minutes. Just by wind scaling. And as you can see, I didn't expand all that much. I had a couple reclaimers going out and taking stuff on the field. So I'm going to go ahead and stop this order here for now. But you guys can see that under 10 minutes, T2 is completely reasonable and should be your goal. I've had T2 in about 6 minutes before when I'm really getting lucky on reclaim, expansion, being consistent with wind scaling. At a certain point, what is it, Titan? 14 wind speed? And wind is actually more efficient than fusion energy.
For Armada, it's actually 12.
It's 12. That's right. That's where I got the 12 and the 14 from. So for Armada, it's 12 because their wind is a little bit cheaper and produces the same. Um, so at 12 energy for Armada, wind energy is more efficient than building your fusion reactor. Um, Geothermals also super efficient. Geothermal is the most efficient energy source in the game. If you can take an early geothermal and you can afford to do so, do it. They're incredibly efficient. They produce 300 energy for 500 metal. Very efficient trade. Um, so just keep in mind, like for me, I'll continue scaling wind for another 5 to 10 minutes. And Titan, as Titan can attest, the few matches that I've done that since figuring that out have been night and day difference. I mean, at this point, if I had continued building, I would have built my T2. I would have started upgrading these core mass. I would have built a second T2, and I probably would have immediately started building a fusion while I continued to scale wind. And you don't even need that many fusions when you're scaling either. A lot of people make the mistake. They go, oh, I need to build a nice neat brick of 6 fusions, and then I'll start building 6 Aphis, which is the advanced fusions. You don't need to do all that. Build 1 or 2 fusions, and if you've continued scaling wind in the background, about then you should be good to start making the advanced fusion. Scale your build power. Build power is another big one. If you're stalling, right, and you've already got a bunch of stuff building, and you don't know what else to build more build power. Or not stalling, if you're wasting. If you're wasting, you don't know what else to build, send an engineer, build a couple more build power, or if you have an excess of metal, build a couple more converters. You can build the at this point in the game, you'd be more than ready to start building a couple of these advanced converters. So just basic starting things to keep in mind. Wind is always going to be, almost always going to be a good pick to go for. Um, One more thing, if you're really feeling spicy,
Hello?
hello, what's up?
Hello?
Hey, we're recording right now. This is the bar instruction video. If you want, you can mute up and listen in.
Ah, my bad.
Oh, good. All right. So, one more thing that you guys can remember, if you're feeling extra spicy for some of these matches, when you start building these T2 engineers, right? They actually build incredibly slow. Look at this. Build power 190. Just the T1 construction turret is build power 200. So if you have a turret with your T2 engineer, you'll more than double, not by much, but still more than double the build power available to build those mass extractors when you go out and you send them out to upgrade mass extractors that aren't in your main base. So one thing that's super kind of try-hardy, but you can do it, and it makes sense, especially on bigger maps. If we're playing on Mediterranean, right? It's a huge map, lots of metal. Build a T1 air transport, pick up one of your starting construction turrets, and just move it around. And you can even speed it up again by building a second turret to move the engineer itself, because the engineer is slow. But that can be a lot of micro when you have a lot of other things going on. So even just moving the turret is a significant upgrade to speed. But you can also pick up the engineer itself and move him along to get him sped up.
I would like to mention an alternative to doing the transport.
Yeah.
You can also build a thing in the advanced bot lab for every faction, which is a combat engineer.
Yes.
These things have insane amount of build power for their cost, and they cannot build T2 extractors by themselves, but they can assist the T2 constructor in building. So you can just tell these guys to go assist the T2 con, and they will build everything a lot quicker without having to micro the build turrets around.
That was what I was about to mention. Titan's absolutely correct. Look at this. This Twitcher is only 210 metal. Compare that to the 470 metal for an advanced construction bot. They have 125 build power, so they're not far off of the T2. So you can build 3 of these, set them to assist, and then they'll go double, triple, even quadruple your build power with only a few of them. So Titan's very correct. Build the combat engineers. A lot of people don't build the combat engineers. Build the combat engineers. They are incredibly useful. And as you saw, they can repair. You can set them to repair things. They can build backline units. They can reclaim. They can set up forward radar. They can build mines. They can set up basic land and anti-air defenses for forward installations or outposts, radar and jamming, and they can even construct new build turrets. So you can use them to quickly set up more build power stations later on in the game faster than your engineer can, because he's so slow and expensive, whereas these guys move around a little bit quicker and move better in a group. So all of that is good things to keep in mind for early build order. These few things that we just discussed apply to all the factions, pretty much all the maps. There's a few notable exceptions where solar is better, and of course a few maps on top of that where solar's required because there's no wind. The Space Donut is a map we've played before where there's no wind. You must go solar. Titan, do you have anything to add to any of this?
Just for basic wind scaling and getting up to T2, no. I don't think I have anything to add.
All right. If you guys have any questions about... Oh, what's up, Titan?
The energy storage. I think you forgot to mention it at the beginning of the game.
Yes.
For wind scaling, energy storage is very important. At least
yes. So he's right. I did forget the energy storage. So something I made a habit of for a long time, and Titan started killing me, and I couldn't figure out why he was killing me so often, was I wasn't making energy storage. Wind is a variable thing. You want at least one energy storage, because if you look here, there we go. And now I have 8,000 storage. I'm going to store a whole bunch of metal, or excuse me, a whole bunch of energy, so that when it does like what it's doing right now and drops to 3 wind speed, 7 wind speed, and now suddenly you're not making as much energy, but you have some in storage to keep you up in the meantime while you wait for it to come back up. So somewhere in your early game, probably shortly before you build that T2, building 1 e-storage is not a bad idea. I would even recommend it. There's a few cases to be made where it's perhaps not necessary, but a lot of the times you end up building one later on anyways, because quite a few of your weapons require energy to fire, which is something we'll touch on a little bit later. But yes, other than that, I believe that's everything for early game. Remember, just keep expanding wind. Like I've seen people, even like higher level players in some of the casts I've watched and things, they're scaling wind until the end of the game. They don't even bother until much later with going into advanced fusions and things like that. They just scale wind. They'll cover an area this size with gridded out wind turbines, and it does fine, especially if they're fighting front lines during a team match. I guess the only other thing I can mention is when you build wind. So let's demonstrate here. This is actually an important one. When you build wind, it's important to know why I do this, right? Why do I build these in grids of 2? Well, if I control B this one, okay, you can see I get some damage on these other ones here. Let's say there's a raid coming in. Some of my rend is really getting attacked quite hard. Oh no. I've lost quite a bit of wind there, but it's important to note that it didn't kill the ones next to it. Let's let this little grid here finish, and then once that's done, we'll open up to some questions for this section. I built it a little bit too far away. What if I am smart and I do this right here? Look at that. I'm gonna use the thing I just told you guys about. Move my build power. Ta-da! And we're going to drastically speed up this little demonstration. Very good. So when you build wind in sets of 2 like this, they don't chain react. When you build them in sets of 3 or more, they will. And we can demonstrate that right here. We'll go ahead and do that just so that they deal with each other instead of trying to repair the wind. So we've got this little grid here. This is probably good enough. Control B1.
I think it'll take it about 2.
Yeah, if a couple of these winds go up, right? You've got an attack going in on your base, as it were. You'll find that your wing can start chain reacting. Now it does take a couple, as you can see, and actually it may not. Oh, there we go, and there they go. Whole grid goes down. So if one too many go up when you've got wind built 3 or more deep, that whole line will chain react, and now you've just lost a significant portion of your economy. Space them out, and remember, anti-air is fun because somebody comes in with a couple banshees, 1 or 2 mosquito gunships, and tears into your wind early on. That's really bad. I've won games against Titan because I got in and destroyed his wind production early on. And vice versa. Losing your early eco is devastating. You want to protect it. It's worth building a couple light laser towers around, especially when you're fighting bot opponents, because bots are very efficient with microing T1 units around defenses, more so than people are, I found, most of the time. Poking for holes and things like that. So just be careful. On that note, does anybody have questions for this section of the video? Does anybody have questions about early build order? Does anybody have questions about wind scaling and how to manage this part of the game where your base is about this size, the first 10 minutes or so?
I have an alternate question.
What's
I
up?
didn't know that transports could pick up buildings. Is it just the build turrets or other shit?
No. So anything you can. Let me see. Where's an engineer?
Pretty sure it's just the build turrets.
There's certain
Uh,
things
Oh yeah,
that
you're
can be
right.
transported. Light laser turrets. Let's see. I could swear it used to tell me in the readouts down here. Is it on clicking the building itself? Modifiers. I must maybe I changed. Transport heavy. You see that? If you look in the middle of this little readout, transport heavy. So lots of the light buildings can be picked up and moved by transports as well as your commander. So like I can pick up I can't pick up this wind turret, right? The wind turret is quote unquote mounted. Can't pick up the converter, but I can pick up certain light defenses such as this light laser tower and these build turrets. In fact, when you have a transport selected, anything highlighted with this green circle you see means that it can be picked up and moved with a transport. It's a very select few things that can be, but the ones that can, there is good reason to do so in certain situations. Anything else? Any other questions?
Yes, with the power scaling, do you build excess wind turbines? Because I see you doing groups of 8 every time.
It doesn't really matter early on how big the groups are, as long as they're only 2 wide. Like I can make it.
Mhm.
Oh, excuse me. I can make it this long, and as long as it's only 2 wide, it won't chain react. I go to 3 wide, and the whole thing blows up.
Yeah, that I get. But for your power converters, you build enough for one power converter every turbine column. So let's say you need 8 for
Ah,
one.
I see. Converts 70
And
energy. I get what you mean. I don't necessarily like plan it out. Like, okay, I build 8 and that's enough to build one converter. It does kind of roughly shake out that way. What's more important in my opinion, and Titan, you can rebuke this if you know otherwise, is build it with I like to build it within, so I was building this such that it was within range of this build power, right? So I'll
Okay.
build and then I'll notice like, oh, I'm floating E, let me cost down a couple more converters.
Okay, gotcha.
You can cost down 10 of these at a time if you want, but if you're going to build a bunch at once, I was only building 3 and 6 at a time because when I noticed that suddenly I was not using them, I would stop building them, stop wasting the resources to go back to building the energy. So you want to micromanage just a little bit, and it's very important that you build it within range of these starting construction turrets so that they get built quickly.
Okay, gotcha.
Because I mean, let's look at the difference here, right? We got only two build turrets here. I can build. All right, I set these to there we go. All right, we got 2 build turrets here, and it pretty much insta builds these turbines in 2 seconds or so. If I go out and I place it outside, even with my commander, it still now takes the full 5 seconds. And
Yeah.
the 3 seconds doesn't seem like a lot, but repeat that 31 times just for the starting build, and that's a full almost 2 minutes, 3 minutes that you saved just by doing that, by building them within range of your build turret, saving those 2 seconds, 3 seconds every time you build one. And to be clear, I would not have stopped building this. This was a normal game. I would have continued. Like my build radius was like this, right? It was like these were right on the outside edge because they were positioned right here. I would have continued building more on the outside edges here, filling in this space with leaving gaps where I could, and just kept making that wind. Built another construction turret, placed it out here, right? I've got one out here. Maybe at this point I've got twitchers to help this construction turret, so instead I send another engineer to go build more wind out here around this construction turret. Continuing to scale that wind is very effective and very efficient for much longer than people think. People will build, about this many and they go, "Oh, okay, I should get into fusions or advanced solar." No, the wind is very good to continue building for quite some time. Any other questions for this early part?
I want to
Um,
clarify a part on the e-converters before any questions are asked.
Mm-hmm.
Um, there's a reason why you could build a surplus, and that is only because they don't cost any metal.
Yeah.
The e-converters, well, they cost 1, but it's practically nothing. But they cost more. They're more energy
Dense.
dependent. Yeah,
They
but
take
building a surplus of them allows for more efficient scaling later on, because you're not going to be scaling e-converters and fusions at the same time once you get up to
yes,
T2.
and that's
So yeah,
something.
having that bank of e-converters to rely on is always useful.
Yeah, and that's something we'll see much more when we get to talking about how to late game scale. As if you have more converters than you can use right now, that's fine. Titan's right. It's not a bad thing to have more than you can use. So if you've got the energy income to build, fucking 20 or whatever, go ahead and do it. They don't cost metal. It's just energy. But you want to have the energy. You don't want to stall your energy out building them because they're so energy dense. It's 1250 energy just for the T1. The T2s are 370 metal and 21,000 energy to build an advanced energy converter. They take time to pay themselves off. The T1s specifically don't cost metal, and so it's fine to have excess of those. And that's a good point, Titan. Is a lot of times people stop building these a little bit too soon as well. It's worth getting to like 10, 15, 20 of these T1 converters early on before trying to get into the T2s because of that lack of metal cost. That I did forget about mentioning the metal cost, Titan. Thank you for reminding me. It's worth having a bank of these because of the costs associated. And something else that's important is when you start building, this is something we'll see later, but it's worth noting that you can get rid of these at any time. When you do start getting into the later game stuff and you go, oh, I'm not quite making enough metal to deal with that. Boom. There we go. Reclaim the 43 metal that's in this wind turbine. Take it back. I'll get, 80, 160, 240 metal back from 6 or 7 wind turbines. That's pretty good early on. That's quite good. So if you're stalling out just a little bit and you're trying to fit that T2 lab a little bit sooner, reclaim some of your wind. Reclaim some of the stuff that you're not using as much because you are actively upgrading to something better. Build turrets as well. They're worth 210 metal. If there's one out in the middle of nowhere next to an engineer or another build turret and it's not useful and you don't have the time to build an air transport out to go get it right now, reclaim it. Get the 210 metal back out of it. It's worth doing. Anybody else? Any other questions about these early few minutes?
I was gonna ask if you were going into tier 2 wind after this, but that's experimental, right?
That is experimental. We can look at the experimental options in a little bit. These are like basic concepts that apply no matter what the game settings are, pretty much.
Yep.
Anyone else? Going once? Going twice? Going 3 times. All right. So now what we're going to do... Oh, I got my commander as well. There we go.
You're wasting energy.
Let's reset here. There we go. And everything's going to go away. Excellent. So, something well, actually, Titan, should we go do solar scaling first? Should we go look at solar before we move on?
Yeah, I think we should do just starting builds.
Okay.
I would also like to probably stream me doing an entire game of just from my base
Yeah.
later on while explaining what I'm doing, because I also want to get into the numbers and go a little bit more in depth on why things work.
Yes, same. That would be good.
Okay.
All right, let's go to the space donut. That's a common. That's one we play that everybody enjoys. I think that doesn't have any wind. So this is something that we don't get into a lot. Solar scaling is very different to wind scaling because solar has a higher cost. They are not variable in how much energy they produce. And so they're a little bit different to scaling wind. Titan actually, I've fucked Titan up a couple times on maps where solar scaling was better. One quick note to mention though, super early on into the game, it's not a bad idea if you find often that you're stalling just a little bit in those early game, even when you are trying to scale wind like you should be, toss down 1 or 2 solar. Because they maintain a steady 20 energy no matter what.
Although
and it
if you
can
do
help
throw
you
one
with some
down,
state.
always put it in range of a build turret.
Always put it within range of the turret because of that 100. They cost no energy to build, and they are 155 metal. So they also serve as very, very, very dense metal storage. So you want to be able to reclaim those later when you upgrade to more efficient types of energy. So, for example, we'll just do the exact same thing here. I'm going to go into probably still 2. We're only going to do 1 in solar here. I'm going to do bot lab again because there's
I would
also
do 2. You wanna be around like 60 to 80 energy a second before placing the lab down.
I prefer to micromine a little bit, but that's a personal choice. To be fair, because if you look, I'm not actually stalling as I do this. So I'll only go 1 constructor here to start into 2 res, and as soon as the factory builds, I build my second solar, and then my third mechs, and then I'll have him build expansion into a third solar.
Ooh.
I mistimed the third solar just a little bit,
Low power.
but we'll go ahead and build the third solar. We'll stop that. There we go. There we go. All right. So yeah, you want to get to. Look at how fast it goes down when it's not. I usually like to just hard build this engineer out, anyways. Once that Hearst engineer is out, though, go ahead and just build a brick of these. They're gonna be expensive. Something else that's worth doing, especially on these maps, is get the Lazarus. If you on maps where you're gonna be going solar, I almost always go bots because of the reclaim bots. Look at how much energy is just around on this map. All these crystals are worth energy. Any map where solar is the way forward, they usually provide you with the with what you need to reclaim. I'm stalling metal just a little bit, so now I can go ahead and build a couple of those. I'm going to rely on the Lazarus to reclaim bots. Most of the maps where solar is the way forward, they give you reclaim for energy. Alright, and there we go. So, stalled a little bit there. That was my fault. Also going to go ahead and look to very soon build my first construction turret. And this is where we were talking about the, I'm not using these yet, but they only cost energy. So this is fine, building these a little bit early. At this point, I would be looking to either, get a couple ticks out, get a couple pawns out, so that I can go scout and see who's near me while I'm doing all of this. So we're at 3 minutes, and I've got units coming onto the field. Normally, this would be more like 2 minutes and 15 seconds. I goofed a little bit at the early game, because I haven't done solar scaling in a while. But, I mean, you can see how much energy I'm getting off of this reclaim. This is huge. I almost always go bots when I do solar scaling because of the Lazarus reclaim bots for Armada, or the Grave Robber, I think it is, for Cortex. All right, so we've got this up. We're gonna go ahead and get a couple more solar, and we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna get a couple more of those, and we're gonna get an extra con. The energy storage is not as important with going solar because your energy income is never going to change. So the energy storage we mentioned for wind scaling, not quite as important here. It's optionally still not terrible. I don't use it. Titan can correct me if that's a mistake on my part that I've been making for solar scaling. But for solar scaling, I don't use the energy storage. I haven't found it to be as necessary. About now, 4.5 minutes sooner if you can manage. I did goof up a little bit here in the early game. I like to start thinking
Elite power.
about getting my my first advanced solar up. You're gonna want to micro your con turret to keep up with demands. So I'm gonna use it to build a couple extra regular solars here a little bit sooner. Keep in mind, during this, I'm probably still building a few pawns and some other things, but if you're unharassed, there's no reason to not just keep scaling for free. I'll have him build even more regular solar. We've got our first advanced solar out. With our advanced solar out, we're going to actually, I like to build an expansion turret because solar takes up a lot more space than the wind does. You're going to find it harder to cram your buildings into the same space that you were before when you're doing solar because of how much space they take up. Doing this, chaining them together like this will make it easier to build your T2 when you get ready to do that. These are going to get done. We're going to have him build some more converters. We're going to have him build some more converters. I have this guy is idle over here. If you have the space and the time, nobody's harassing you, go ahead and take more metal. There's no reason not to. Again, this community often plays on larger maps. Take the metal. Pretty soon I would be looking to get my T2 up. Again, we're at 6 minutes. Once these sets of build orders are done, I would probably be looking to take my T2. So solar scaling is a little bit slower and clunkier than wind. I'm actually feeling a little bit slow here for my expansion because I did stall a little bit at the beginning. It's also nice to have a little bit more build power. So once these are done, I'll probably go ahead and actually toss down a third construction turret for this.
I really want to say how important it is to get up to T2
It is
as quick and get those fusions when you're running off solar, because
very important, and I'm gonna
solar is
demonstrate.
very inefficient most of the time.
Yeah, advanced solar is pretty good. Advanced solar is fairly efficient. Still not as efficient as wind scaling. On this map, we can't wind scale because there's literally not any wind. All right,
And
so
the reason we're getting up to T2, so
yeah, and so here's where so I don't actually have enough income yet to build this T2 factory. So I'm going to be doing is exactly what I said. I've got these advanced solars coming up. I'm making enough energy. I'm actually going to be reclaiming the basic solars for that bonus 155 metal. And with the one turret still building, that's enough to keep up and still get this out before 8 minutes. Boom. There we go. 8 minutes. I'm going to reclaim a couple more. I said I'm going to reclaim a couple more. There we go. Get that. I keep holding shift. Get that up. All right, and now this guy is going to be coming out. And the first thing you're going to do with this is you're going to build a fusion. Just I usually just go ahead, immediately plunk down the fusion.
the metal is a better idea. At least the first 3, and then you can go into the fusion. Because once you transition out of the basic solars and you get to the at least a good chunk of advanced solars, you can last until you get the core mexes up.
Yeah. I'm usually reclaiming the solars. Titan's probably right. His build order is probably a little bit better here. For getting them the T2 metal up. But what I'll do is I'll have the build turrets start the fusion, and then I'll have the engineer actually move on to building the mass extractors. So I'm actually gonna reclaim, if I can find it, all the T1 energy here. as well as assist out these T2 extractors. And you can see I'm just barely holding out now because of these advanced solars. Just barely going to have enough to start getting up here. Going to be cutting it just a little bit close. But we
like
are
all
building...
of those T1 solars afforded his fusion, basically.
Yeah. All those T1 solars have funded my first advanced metal as well as most of the fusion. And now both of these extractors are up, and suddenly this fusion's going to be coming up just fine. At this point, I could build more engineers for scaling. I've built my butlers for an expansion, because I've got 2 engineers here. One of them can be... I can tell my commander to assist there, split this guy off. He's going to go build extractors. We'll set these guys to help, and I just went to low power, but I should be coming up soon. I just barely didn't have enough. If I bring my commander off the assist on this, in fact, I bet if I just pause this will get up quite quickly. Yep, and now there's only 10 seconds, and we have enough. 4, 3, 2, 1, and the fusion's done.
You watch all these E-converters tick over.
And now all the E-converters are going to take over. And once you have the first fusion done, the next thing you want to do, as soon as you finish building your core mass, is... where... Blind. There we go. Build your second fusion. That's the next thing you want to do, is build your second fusion and build another few energy converters. With solar, scaling is incredibly important to get to the fusions. So now that I have these advanced solars that helped carry me through, I'm not even going to build more than this. 6 advanced solars was enough. I have no reason to do anything other than build fusions from this point, as well as scale build power. Like, I would even venture to say at this point, a 4th turret is warranted.
Easily. You're about to be floating metal.
Yeah. So what you're going to find with solar in comparison to wind, more than anything else, is that your progression is extremely linear. And what that means is that the points at which you should build more build power is consistent. You want to keep building more wind power, keep building more, or excuse me, more build power, keep building more build power, keep more building more build power, and just more. Like you can see, I'm almost floating here. So I'm actually going to go ahead and just spend all this down, throw down some proper build power here for both the scaling around my base as well as cranking out units. Around this point, I mean, there were 12 minutes. At this point, I've found my neighbor, or both of my neighbors, and I'm probably looking to start building units, if I am not already, to harass them if I intend to kill them quickly. And if it's a chill game, I'm building a defense force, or maybe some anti-air, some mobile anti-nuke. By the time you get your second fusion up, at this point, you can easily afford the anti-nuke and some advanced anti-air, you know, depending on how the matches are going. If Dusk is in the game, go ahead and build that fucking anti-air, get that shit down. This is not what you want to do for eco-scaling, but just I'm doing this just to demonstrate what you can do with just the 2 fusions out. But ideally, you don't actually want to have to do this. So, because, I mean, you can see how much I'm having to spend to build these. But you can do it in a pinch, like, oh, you know, based on what we're doing, I feel at risk. Let me just go ahead and put down some panic defenses real quick. The next thing you would be doing after this is you would be sending another engineer, probably with some Twitcher support. Or hell, just have the Twitchers do it. If you've got them. The butlers do not have the ability to build turrets. But you would go out, and you're actually within range of your first set of turrets, just so that you can at least get one, is you're going to build, like, something like this. Another brick of con. I'm wasting, but that's because I haven't been building units. If I was building units this whole time, that would not be wasting right now. But you're going to build this brick of con, because this is where you're going to build your first advanced fusion. Getting to your advanced fusion is the next step. I probably would have had 3 fusions by now. 3 or 4. If not for doing this and spending time talking. The flak turrets were expensive. But I would have 3 to 4 fusion reactors, and that would be enough to look at scaling into my advanced fusions, scaling into my advanced converters. So solar scaling just a little bit different, requires a little bit more planning to your build order. You could even if like I mean, there's so much reclaim, and we play on different maps where solar is not impossible. I could have built three or four more of the reclaim bots here, these guys, to go out and get that energy reclaim. There's what is it, Forge Titan, that has the energy just everywhere in the center, the volcano
Oh
map.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. A
that's
few of them
one.
do.
Solar is actually not terrible on that map. I found. Um, it's not the greatest. So wind is probably still better, but you can get away with solar. Um, but yeah, there you go. So there's solar scaling. Does anybody have questions about solar scaling in comparison to wind?
Yes.
What's up?
Is the threshold for how you should build them the same so they don't chain react?
No. So wind, in fact, I can show you real quick. Wind turrets don't react the same way. Wind turrets. Wind fuck. I'm saying wind a lot. Solar collectors, there we go. Solar does not chain react. They actually have an armor mode. So if I can trick my there we go.
Just turn the there you go.
Yeah, so they close up, which gives them a little bit more armor and resistance to damage. No problem. And they'll open back up on their own after a few seconds. But this resists their damage, so they actually won't chain react. So you can build wind as close together as you did it again. You can build solar as close together as you want in comparison to wind. Solar can be put together all the way down in big old bricks. More important is to have them within range of a build turret so that you can reclaim them.
And the fusions?
They will blow up and kill things around them, but not necessarily each other. Also, early game, like this early on, if they're already getting in and blowing up your fusions, you have different problems anyway. Like I said,
Yeah,
like, with all this build power you've got when you're going solar like this, toss down some Overwatches, toss down a Gauntlet, or if you're already at your T2, toss down a Pit Bull, especially these Pit Bulls. Very nice T2 defense for relatively low metal cost, to just have this. And just in case you guys thought we were kidding, I was dicking around and talking and not playing efficiently there, and I'm still going to get an advanced fusion in under 18 minutes here. And of course, I could scale into more after this. $13, $12, $11, and I can go ahead and build the converters as well. There's the advanced fusion. They're gonna whip around and immediately build the advanced energy converters so that I can use all the energy that the fusion is making. So messing around and not really playing the best because I was trying to talk and demonstrate things, and I'm still under 18 minutes, 150 metal. I would be expecting normally to have 150 metal a second at closer to I don't know, Titan 15, 14, maybe a little bit sooner even.
I have, mind you, not building an army, not fighting anybody.
Yeah.
Been able to get an Aphis by 12, 13 minutes. So you can get 100 by like that time.
And keep in mind, this is with solar scaling. Wind scaling can be even faster.
Way faster.
I think my fastest Aphis wind scaling is like 9 minutes. Something stupid. Something crazy. Now, I haven't been able to replicate that in a while because we haven't played in a hot minute. That was when I was practicing pretty often. But the point is, your early game scaling, especially with wind turbines, but also with solar, if you're managing the reclaim feature efficiently, is much, much more important than I think a lot of people give it credit. It is not as big of a deal to rush all the way down to these fusions as quickly as possible. If you're stalling metal and energy while you're trying to build this fusion, congratulations, it's actually not worth it. It might feel worth it, right? Because if you stall it out hard enough, you might get it done still fairly quickly, 6-7 minutes, but you have nothing to follow it up with. You don't have the build power to follow it up with. You don't have any reclaim available to you if you need it. And by that time, we've scaled. I've got build power as well as the fusion that you now also have. It's very important to continue scaling. Like we said, wind at 14 or better, regardless of faction, is more efficient than this fusion reactor in terms of production and time and cost. In terms of cost and production, wind is more efficient than this fusion reactor. It's better to just keep building wind than it is to go into fusions. On certain maps where wind is extreme, like Full Metal, for example, you should never build a fusion on Full Metal. That is a consistent 25 wind income, 25 energy from wind. Keep building wind turbines. Don't build the fusions. Just build the wind turbines till you can build the APHIS, and then you can go back and you can reclaim the wind turbines for space. On that map, with so much available, you can just toss down, an air lab, crap out 5 to 10 aircons, and have the aircons going around just to reclaim the wind by the time you've got to your APHIS. So, just as an aside, any other questions? Any other questions for early game eco scaling for wind, solar, or anything else? And anything else that Titan may have to add?
Don't have anything to say.
All right, Titan. Anything else you want to add?
No, I don't think so. I would like to maybe get into the numbers a bit if that is what we're doing next. I don't know what you want to do next.
I do want to get into late game, but I think going into numbers now would be good as long as you stick to like early numbers. Keep in mind where this is for people who don't play as much RTS as everyone else. So numbers are good, but people may not remember the numbers.
I'm gonna use analogies. You don't have to remember the numbers, just the general idea.
Okay, then yeah, let's do that. I will exit this lobby and you can join me.
Okay. I was gonna stream and I wanted to draw on my screen.
Can I join your lobby? So just for the sake of the recording, so I don't have to like switch to recording Discord.
Yeah.
Okay.
I will.
He's gonna use the drawing feature. He's gonna get fancy on us.
I'm just gonna leave it as friends only, so you can join right away.
Okay.
Holy friends
Okay.
list, Loco.
Indeed.
I know Wario played Bar.
Yeah, he played it like twice, I think. So did Flumpy. I've actually got a short of playing Bar with Flumpy. It's quite funny.
I've seen said short.
We'll forever remember how I killed Flumpy that one time in Zero K.
Couple of gamers drowning in competence.
I think I'm just gonna do like Mediterranean or something simple because that'll just be easy.
Yeah, something we play quite a bit of. Wow, this recording is at an hour.
Yeah. It was.
I think we're gonna be
Okay.
right.
You'll
right.
trim the fat later.
I was gonna say we're gonna be right on 2 hours for this event. I think by the time we get done talking about late game stuff.
I'm gonna force start it. Or actually,
if you go to game end mode and change it to never ending, it'll let you just start.
Well, I should do it too.
Oh, you added an inactive? Yeah, that'll do it as well.
Yeah.
Oxon's asking me how good I'm at V-Rise on the PS5. Oh no. I'm gonna mute.
It might be harder to see things on my screen, so let me know if I have to draw them bigger.
Are you using the in-game drawing tool?
Yeah, I was just gonna use that.
Okay, I've got the Nitro for the Discord stream, so I'll go to your player view, and then they'll just see everything exactly the same if you don't have the Nitro for streaming.
Yeah, that works. That works perfectly fine. Because you're spectating, you can see what I draw, correct?
Yeah, I can. I'll
Yeah.
turn off player view. I'll go to player cam. We get Titan's cursed completely top-down view that he does.
I'm doing this for drawing,
You're
just for drawing.
I don't want a subcom player
Like
be
this
like,
normally. I play like this.
That's
okay.
still
This is not
too
as bad.
aerial, bro.
What do you want to play like this?
Oh God,
Yes, absolutely.
I want
Yes,
the cinematic
yes.
view, Titan. Fuck your
Yes,
micro. Make it look nice.
Oh my
First
god.
person view, please.
Hey, I want this bar video to look like one of your KSP videos instead.
First person.
That would be
please.
fucking cool, honestly.
That would be quite cool.
All
All
right,
right.
look, hit the erase button so I can start over. All right, so getting into the numbers, I like to think playing the economy in bar is more of an investment rather than a permanent thing. You can always reclaim structures such as your bot lab, which costs 500 metal, correct?
Yes.
You can always place this back down later. It's not like you got to keep it down.
I was going to do a full metal demonstration to show the late game. So whatever you want to talk about for reclaiming structures, go for it.
All right. So generally, average wind speed is normally around 14 on almost every map. That is almost normal. Sometimes it'll be down to about 8-ish or so. But generally speaking, with average wind speed, normally about 8 wind turbines are going to equal 1 T1E converter. So
That's what
when
Meow
you're-
was
when you're-
asking about earlier. Meow, you asked about building how many wind turbines to one E converter. These are the numbers you were asking about.
Yeah, you're gonna get them here. So generally, whenever you're building building grids of like 2 wind turbines, if you kind of see here, if you're building a grid of about 8 wind turbines, especially when you're doing it in lines of 2, it's pretty easy to tell. It's pretty easy to divide the number on how many E converters you need. So if you build 4 lines of 4 wide 2 by 2 grids of wind turbines, that is going to be about 4 E converters. The numbers are not that hard to kind of just figure out yourself. But it's not necessary. As I did say earlier, it is still just beneficial to generally just build surplus anyway for later game. But oh god, I didn't set up my build queue, but it's fine. But for me, as opposed to Loku's build order works just fine. I want to clarify that. You can do that as well.
I was gonna say, don't think that you need to replicate my build order perfectly. There's a couple different combinations that work good enough. They work well enough. Titan likes to go into wind a lot sooner, and as you guys have seen, he keeps up with or overtakes me in eco quite often. So feel free to mess around, experiment, figure out what works. If you want to do something unique, like going hovercraft in first, for example, there might be some different things you can do with that. So feel free to experiment. You don't need to replicate what we do perfectly.
Not at all. And for my starting build order, generally when doing wind, and especially around that normal average number that I listed off earlier, I like to do 2 metal, 1 wind, into my 3rd metal, and then another 3. I like to have around 80 energy a second before going into my first lab. And you'll never see me build a construction bot first. I'll always go into a scout, a constructor, and then on a map like this, I'm going to go into 1 pawn, and then a Lazarus, and then my second constructor. Kind of do a little bit more of a varied start than most people probably, I'd assume. And I'm just going to send this tick out to scout and figure out if anybody's near me. And you guys already know that nobody will be spawning near me. And after I finish my next 3 wind, I'm gonna hard build this second constructor.
Yeah, and he's getting that Lazarus out because of all the trees on this map. The trees are energy reclaim. It's very valuable.
Yes, and I'm just gonna tell him to go here. For example, I'm gonna draw out the circle. If you guys can see that energy number, list that off to me. It's 51,000 energy in just this circle.
Oh, we can't. I don't think we can see the reclaim numbers.
You can't see that.
I bet I can do it if I select.
No, we can't see it.
Oh, if you're watching my stream, you can. I think that's what I was asking.
Okay.
But yeah, like
quite a bit of energy. And also, I just want to note, I know we're we're using some shortcut keys. I will be going over those shortly. What keys we've been using to set these up so quickly, because I know some people may not know them. So don't worry if you've been going. How are they setting up their build queues so fast? I will discuss how we're doing that for anybody who may not know.
And now I
Thank
want
you.
to. Free for alls are a lot different than your normal game in bar, and I like to personally send my commander out very early on to expand. And I'll normally try and keep some type of pawns and try and just shut down territory around the map to expand out quickly. And I, especially for free for alls, at least I love building just one LLT around my expansions. It shuts down territory. You can always see the red circle telling you its range if you click on it, Luku. And then they only cost about 80 metal early on, so they're not too expensive at all, and they shut down territory. And if not stopping your enemy from killing your expansions, it's at least going to cause attrition. And any attrition is important and gives you time to react. And normally after I build my first build turret early on, I like to go into my first energy storage, especially as Armada. Batteries or energy storage for Armada is a little bit more useful. It is you can literally almost base your entire economy as Armada off of energy storages because of the cheaper wind. And after this, I'm going to go into a few e-converters. As I said earlier, those numbers, I can almost afford about two e-converters at this point in the game. So I'm gonna drop down just 6 either way, just so I don't have to worry about them. And also to mention that I'm getting some energy income from the resbot I built earlier.
And again, you guys saw his energy storage jump there. He went from like what 2,500 or something to 7,200 immediately. He built one e-storage, and now he's got a huge bank of resource left over to store the reclaim he's getting, as well as if wind tanks to 1, because on this map it can fall all the way to 1 wind speed, he's not completely out of luck. Something I just realized, Titan, the video might actually go over 2 hours because we still have to do naval scaling.
Oh yeah, we're doing naval scaling.
I should definitely look at naval scaling.
Although I definitely you should try to correlate that into just if you're doing fusion scaling, because it's really similar.
If you treat naval scaling essentially the same way as solars, you'll probably be okay. Because the titles give a consistent. The titles are efficient in terms of cost, like the wind, but they're linear, like the solar is. So they're basically just cheaper solar. But it kind of shakes out similarly because naval units are much more expensive like T1 Navy compared to T1 bots and vehicles, more expensive. T2 Navy, very expensive compared to everything else. So the numbers often shake out the same, but if you scale in the water, and there's water fusion reactors as well, and water advanced converters that you build out at sea, treat it pretty close to the solar scaling, and you'll be good enough. I guess we don't need to do the Navy unless people just want me to.
Yeah, I think that's up to if they want you to run through the naval scaling. Yeah, and I don't. If anybody noticed, I just sent 1 con out here to build this geothermal. It's gonna take about 2 minutes for this geothermal to finish up, just for 1 con building it. You can build a construction turret, but that takes about around the same time to build the geothermal anyway. So I'll just send the con out to build the geothermal, and now this will be about 3. Yeah, this is 300 energy production once that finishes. So that'll be about a third of my current energy production.
Something worth noting when we play these free for alls. I'm gonna turn off the player cam real quick for my view, Titan. But
Yeah,
something worth noting is build order is not the only important thing. The philosophy of how you control the map, and I use the word philosophy because when you're expanding, right? If you have an opponent who spawns here, right? He sent his commander out to this spot quickly, right? So if I'm spawning here and I'm sending my scouts out, I'm scaling at the exact same pace Titan is, and I get to where he is, I'm gonna get to like about here, right? Probably set up a turret and a radar to guard this expansion that I just claimed. And then I'm gonna either find him with scouts or find him on radar. I'm gonna realize that Titan is already here. Okay? Now, I'm also probably going to be looking to come down this way if there's nobody there, right? And what I'm going to find, I'm going to find his tick here. Anytime now, I'll probably be finding his Lazarus. He's got a light laser tower queued up here. If I take too long getting here, I will find Titan on both sections. And now I know that the left side of the map and all of the center of this map belongs to Titan. Right? So for me, as a player, a similar level to Titan, my head goes to, well, I need to make sure that I control a similar amount of territory so that I can keep up. Titan doesn't have all of Central Europe. Look at how much metal he's missing, right? He doesn't have anything in England. He doesn't actually have these yet. He doesn't have Italy. He doesn't have France, I guess this would be. He doesn't have France. He doesn't have anything down in Spain, but he's got forces out and about that make it look like he does, right? Controlling territory, even if you don't necessarily utilize the resources within it, are important. Because if you watch any team games, right, you'll see that a lot of the times a higher level player, they would look at this, like the metal that's right here, over here in northern France, and they go, that's too far away. I'm not going to bother sending a constructor out that far. The time it would take to get there is not worth it. I'm not even going to bother. They'll stay over here and they'll deal with, this and maybe this expansion. Like that's already like such the travel time to get there. They're thinking about the time it takes to get there and build it. Is it worth the metal, the losing the constructor that I could be utilizing back at home to keep wind scaling? Titan's floating energy right now because he's been talking and messing around a lot while he walks us through what he's doing. But normally he'd already be probably, we're 9 minutes in. I would venture to say Titan in a normal game is probably at 70 metal by now, maybe a little bit more.
I want to say, if I'm just eco-scaling, games are a lot different, but that's not how a game's going to go. You're going to be building an army, and for example, I've tried to replicate that here by building myself an entire army on both sides of the map. I have one in the north, I have one in the south.
Like I mentioned, tossing
indeed slowed me down.
Yeah, it's slowed him down in a match where this is the other thing you have to remember. These crazy games where Titan and I get to these huge armies, it's because we haven't been getting attacked. You guys are, and it's not like a bad thing. It's some people just didn't know how to keep up in the early game, which means we got to scale for free. If we're getting raided and attacked early, it's gonna force not only you guys but us as well to build the defenses to stop that. For example, if I'm over here and I'm scaling at roughly the same rate as Titan, but let's say I only took these two expansions instead. Right? Titan's got all this territory, but I spent all my time building a military instead of taking more territory. I'm still T1 scaling, right? Still building the metal and everything else. There are the solar and the converters and everything else. But I've been devoting more time to building military. At this point in time, 10 minutes in, I'm going to have a force probably double what Titan has here. So Titan would find himself in trouble in a T1 fight. He would be reliant on the fact that he got his T2 up sooner than I did. He's got more eco to bring to bear. So it would become a battle of, can I move in and deal enough damage to Titan to beat him before he starts building the T2 he needs to kill me? And look, there it goes. Now that I've mentioned the hypothetical, he's going to be building those sprinters. My army's coming into attack right now, right? He's losing this expansion. He's probably fighting, juggling his bots back and forth in an attempt to deal with my pawns, my rocket bots, my thugs, or whatever it is that I'm using. And then he's got these T2 units coming in to reinforce. He's got a build power dedicated to it. He's got his commander potentially, he's got him in Italy right now, but he may have also been like up here or moved up this way to try to de-gun down some units. These little things, these little factors matter, and you have to understand that in a match where Titan is dealing with one person, everyone else has time to scale. If me and Titan are dealing with each other, you guys have time to scale. And this goes for anybody who's watching this video back later. If you're playing with your friends, if you're playing in random matches, whether it's team games or whatever it is, if you aren't being directly engaged, you have time to do other things. But you can't forget the importance of slowing down your opponent. Sitting back and scaling is one thing, but if you know you're not going to scale as quickly as your opponent, go do damage them instead. Look at now. Obviously, Titan's messing around a little bit, but just for the fun of it, let's say this is what he actually did. What does he not have? Somebody tell me. What does he not have right here? In his
No way,
main
eh?
game? He's got no anti-air. 2 gunships could come in and blow up this entire energy converter stack. It'd be gone. He'd have all this energy sitting here and nothing, and he wouldn't even be able to use it all.
Or a
He'd be-
stealth.
Or
right?
stealth. If you've managed to get to the T2, you know, there's the stealth tanks, T2 stealth tank, the Gremlin. I think it's an Armada's T2 tank is is a stealth tank. It doesn't show up in close vision. It only shows up in radar. It can pull up, pop energy converters, start popping some wind. You know, if you get to a few of them, you can harass the fusion. There's all kinds of things you can do to try to slow down your opponent. Don't let them take the territory. There's one light laser tower here. There's no reason why whoever spawns up here in Scandinavia should let Titan just have this for free. Don't let him do it. Don't let me do it. You know, don't go fight people. Slow them down. And I think you guys will find that you, at the very least, keep games much more interesting both for yourself and your opponents for longer. So at this point, we can go and look. Titan is coming up on 100 metal. He's got 2 fusions down. He's got 1 advanced energy converter. His metal's going to shoot up because he's got all these econs, and so now he can focus on, and boom, there we go. He's up to 100 metal for a second there. He's now losing energy because he's building these expensive 20,000 some odd in advanced E converters. But as soon as this finishes, the build power focus, the energy being devoted into this can go back into being converted instead. You're going to see his metal shoot up to quite a bit here. There we go. These all turn back on. We go to 140, and he's going to place the Aphis. We're going to see under 20-minute Aphis again, just like I did with Solar.
And that's only off 2 fusions as well.
And that's only off 2 fusions.
And I want to mention, that's just, I made that up in the wind.
Mm-hmm. And something else that's important, if somehow he's not, but if, let's say he didn't have all this extra metal out here, so he doesn't actually quite have enough metal income to build this fusion the way that he's building it, he can, at this point, now that he's got the regular fusions, to fund this Aphis, he can have 1 or 2 of these con turrets start there he goes. He's going to reclaim, and look at his metal shoot up. He's gaining metal faster than he's spending it building the Aphis, just about. Pretty close. Now he's...
I just realized something funny.
What's that?
Ignore that, it's fine, but the reclaim's more important.
Oh, yeah. But there we go. Reclaim. Going in now.
We're going to put all the build power into the Aphis.
And now he's going to redevote. He's got the 3,000 metal. Let's keep in mind a Aphis costs 9,000 metal. It's halfway done. This plus his production. Congratulations, he just finished. He would have funded this Aphis with the reclaiming of these wind turbines, even if he didn't have 1, 2, 3 expansions plus geothermal and some bonus metal here and about. Also, something that's worth noting, you can do the same to units. If you've got a T1 army lying around, you know that you're at T2 stage of the game. There's, you've got a brick of construction power. These aren't going to get anything done, and you know it, right? I feel like everybody in here has probably played enough to know when the T1 is probably not going to get anything done. There's no reason to go give that metal to your opponent. Bring it home, have it reclaimed, divert it into T2 or into experimentals. At this point in the game, Titan could definitely set up, if he wanted, another construction grid and look to get lightweight experimentals on. He's not going to be building juggernauts yet, but he could build marauders, or something. He could build the smaller experimental units. I did just watch you place down an additional T2 lab Titan. I just want you.
You did.
I did watch you do that.
The funny thing is, normally I can do it without hotkeys, but I'm trying not to use hotkeys that much.
So like he could build marauders very easily. He could probably get out a razorback or 2, with pretty. I mean, he's got 6,000 metal in the bank, right? He can build 2 razorbacks, and that's assuming he doesn't change anything about what he's doing. Does anybody have questions for Titan about what he's been doing here and the numbers he was talking about?
Can you
Yes.
see the enemy comm yet?
Yeah, he's down on this island.
Okay.
One
He's
my
just down
colleague
here.
almost died.
He's just
Okay.
chilling out.
Yeah, but I do also want to specify numbers for fusions, since these are easy as well. For general fusions, it is 1 to 1 advanced energy converter. Very simple. One fusion is worth 1 advanced energy converter. Now, for an APHIS, it's 1 to 4. So you get more worth out of an APHIS for, like, the fusion is 4,000 metal, right? APHIS is 9,700. You're supporting 4 E-converters with what? Just double of the fusion, which only supports 1.
Yes.
So it's very important to get up to the APHIS as soon as possible. And if you only have to build 2 fusions to do that instead of 3, that is way better.
And I think if we're actually looking at, like, let's see, produces 1,000 energy for the fusion. Let's assume you're not building anything else. The reason the 1-to-1 works is because you're also going to be using some of this energy for other things. But if you were looking at strictly numbers, 2 fusion pulls in 2,000 energy. 1 advanced energy converter takes 600 energy into 10 metal. So you could build 3 advanced energy converters for these fusions, assuming that the excess energy, isn't being used for anything else. Versus 3,000 energy for the advanced fusion. So, that's 600, that's 1,200, there's 18, that's 2,400. So you could technically get 5, but again, some of your energy is going to be getting used. So I just wanted to mention that for anybody who is looking at the production rates and going, wait a minute, that's not quite right. It's because it's accounting the energy you're going to be using on, like, building units, building more cons, building more advanced converters. These ratios, so, like, one, you can literally set up a grid of like 4 con turrets off to the side, and then on one side have them place down a fusion an advanced fusion in your build order, and then queue up 4 advanced converters on the other side, and then another advanced fusion, and then 4 more, and then another advanced fusion, and then 4 more. And once you set that up, you can just leave that running, right? Set it up so that it'll queue up 10 advanced fusions and the advanced converters to match. And then you can leave that going after you set it up, and you know that it's scaling correctly, leaving you free to go do other things. Like, example, at this point, Titan and I are definitely sizing each other up to decide who's going to attack who first. Air scouts are coming over. I'm trying to decide if I should attack him now, or attack him later. It leaves Titan free.
And since I have this Razorback, he's going to scout me and be like, fuck.
I'm going to scout this and go, fuck, he's at experimentals at 20 minutes. What do I do?
Yeah.
I need to do the same thing. But there's no reason that you guys can't be doing the exact same thing. This here is all that hard to remember. It'll be some practice to remember, like, roughly how you should order things, and making sure you're not stalling, like making sure you don't accidentally build too much build power first, or not keeping up with the converters. But even applying just a little bit of this to what you're already doing, you guys will see a huge improvement. I remember when I first figured out, I couldn't figure out for the longest time why Titan kept outscaling me in free-for-alls, because you can see who's top eco in a free-for-all. And so I was looking at it, I was going, man, I'm doing just fine. What's happening? And so I asked Titan, I was like, Titan, man, what am I doing wrong? Tell me what I'm doing wrong, please. And he's okay. And so he shows me, and I go, oh, okay. And then I started scaling wins more often. And it was a night and day difference the first game. The first game of switching into just keeping up with wind turbines instead of what I had been doing previously was an immediate, noticeable difference in how well I kept up.
Yeah, and for example, imagine someone who's maybe, let's say, only running off solar, like normally maybe how some of you guys, not trying to throw any shade, but some of you guys who might be not quite to T2 yet, might be a little behind, having a Razorback walk into your base at 20 minutes into the game
is awful.
And not being able to deal with
it. Or having Jaguars roll into your base at minute 9 is just as bad, believe it or not, if you're not ready for them. You motherfucker, Titan, I'll never forgive you for that. But I mean, it's in a match where, even in a game where, you know, because very often a lot of the players in here, we try not to get too super crazy competitive, right? And I'm sure there's a lot of people out there who play the same way, right? They're not trying to build the best build orders every time. They're not trying to get super sweaty. They just want to build a big base and a big army and then kill each other with it. And then whatever happens, happens. But you'll get to that faster by applying some very basic early game principles. And then even if you ignore everything else in this video, just applying just the wind thing, right? On Full Metal, if you can apply the concept about scaling wind turbines on Full Metal map, oh my god, night and day difference. It'll be crazy. It'll be outstanding. Everybody will be up at 1,000 metal a second by minute 35. And that sounds crazy, but I'm not kidding. Maybe sooner, to be honest.
And here, as Loku has been talking, I've started my scaling, which he'll probably go into more depth later, but this is kind of generally what it looks like. You're just going to have a block of built turrets. I'm sure you guys have seen it later game when you're spectating, but you just do this. Just build a block of built
Later
turrets.
game when you died already.
Or float over a base and seen it. But yeah. But yeah, just build a block of build turrets and don't even give a shit about the numbers. Just build a shit ton of APHIS, build a shit ton of E-converters. It doesn't have to be optimized as hell.
Lesson 1, you guys have heard me say it 1,000 times. Lesson 1 of RTS game is if you think you have enough, no you don't. And there comes a certain point, right? And it's about this point here where Titan's at right now, right? He's getting up past 300 metal a second. It's about right now where suddenly the numbers don't matter as much, and the micro you're putting into your units, your army, how you're reacting to what your opponents are doing. Like, if I scout Titan right now, and let's say instead of Razorbacks, I found Epic Dragons, right? Now I'm going, oh, I need to immediately stop what I'm doing and start building fighters, start building anti-air. So about now is when the numbers start mattering less. And yeah, here we go. Look what he's doing down here. About now is when the matters start mattering less, and you just need to throw this shit down, like what Titan's doing here, right? He's built his T2 air factory to crap out some construction aircraft. And the reason he does this, the construction aircraft are actually less efficient than the ground construction vehicles. They are, however, more mobile, which means they can easily build bricks without having to walk around every time they want to build one. So that's why this gets done. About now is when you can go, all right, I'm just going to place down a big block of eco and leave it running while I go deal with whatever my opponent is doing, or deal with microing the attack I'm using, go deal with sending a Razorback into Meowlo's base at minute 26. And again, VOD watchers, for anybody not part of the Discord, or anybody who is and sees this later, the biggest takeaway from this whole video, if you take away nothing else, is wind turbines. Scale your wind turbines. Don't underestimate that T1 eco. Don't underestimate the timing of getting your T2 out in under 10 minutes. If you can get to the point of having a T2 factory in 10 minutes or less, then you're doing fine. You'll find yourself keeping up a lot easier. You'll find yourself putting up a lot bigger fight. And Titan's doing something here I hadn't quite touched on yet, but the art of reclaiming inefficient by comparison eco. He's reclaiming his fusion reactors right now. It's because in comparison to these APHIS, they are inefficient. And look at how much metal he just injected directly into his bank account by doing that, right? He was about to be stalling because he's doing all this down here. And boop, sucked it up, got 4,000 metal back to keep building quicker. And now this space has been freed up for him to do other things with it. He can, he'll probably at some point, he'll reclaim this T1 converters. He'll reclaim these build turrets that are kind of awkwardly placed so that he can build anti-air or an anti-nuke. Or perhaps he builds, I don't know, nuke missiles of his own, artillery, whatever you want to do. You can reclaim this space, reclaim the inefficient resources, get all those resources back, and divert them into bigger and better things. So, on that note, To be honest, I don't actually think we need to go into advanced scaling because that pretty much is it. Titans demonstrated it quite well here. Get to your 2 fusions, 3 fusions, build your Aphis with some build power, and then eventually, as you continue scaling, you'll be able to just do well this. What I'm looking at right now. I mean, this is look at what's going on. There are some more advanced topics that we can cover. There's a few cool, neat little things. For example, like what Titan's doing here with his air factory is something we can come back to because I know exactly what he's doing. That'll be for a separate video, I think. If there's interest in seeing one, or a separate bar event, I am gonna go ahead and wrap this one up because it's been an hour and 30 minutes. The last thing I want to touch on is hotkeys. So first of all, the biggest and obvious one, and Titan, your T2 engineer or T1 engineers next to your experimental factory, if you would be so kind as to demonstrate with those for me just by showing the blueprints that you place down. Wind turbines, hold shift and you will drag a line. There we go, just like that. But if you hold shift and alt and drag a line, now you make a box. And there we go. Titan's going to show it right there. You can also kind of see it. I forgot. You can kind of see it on my end as well. So dragging that box to make the brick of wind turbines is very nice. It's, what is it, Z and X, Titan, for spacing?
Yes, Z and X.
So if you go to place something and then you press Z while you're holding shift, or X to close it. My Z key is a little bit sticky, so I'm actually struggling to do it right now. My Z key needs to be replaced. But that's how you do these automatically spaced turbines here that you see Titan has queued up. So Z and X will change the spacing of buildings. You can use that to space out wind turbines. That thing about them being 3 deep causing explosions, well, that goes away if you space them out a little bit. So then you can build them as dense as you want with the spacing. For Reclaim, if we look at his brick of build power next to his turrets here, instead of manually clicking on each individual wind turbine, if you hold Alt, then click Reclaim, and then left click on a wind turbine and drag the box, you will see that they will reclaim all the buildings of that type. So he's given a reclaim aerial order, but it's only reclaiming the wind turbines. It's not going to hit anything else. So little things like that will help speed you up quickly. And also a very basic one, just in case people don't know. I feel like most people know this by now, but just in case, when you're clicking on a factory, if you hold shift, you'll queue up 5 of a thing when you click to queue things. And if you hold control, you'll queue up 20 at a time. So for things like scout waves or fighters, you hold control and you can click 5 times, queue up 100 fighters, and then walk away. You don't have to worry about it. Okay. I think that's going to do it for this. Titan, anything else you feel like we should cover for this little sort of basics video?
No, I definitely want to know if anybody has questions in the voice chat, though.
Yes, for sure.
Hard time remembering this stuff.
I have 2.
What's up?
So I saw your UI logo. You have like a big box for your buildings.
Yes. So that is due to the settings I've got. Wait, where is it? It's one of these settings. Here we go. If you go to control, I've disabled using the grid menu, and it's essentially the legacy UI. But if you have any interest in using the hotkeys, you should set yours up the way Titan has, which is with grid menu enabled. And that's the normal one you guys are used to seeing, and the reason why that's done that way is so that you can do Z, X, C, and V. Or is it in sets of 3 or 4, Titan? Sets of 4, right? The 4 Q, W, E, R instead of Q, W, E, I think.
Yeah, Q, W, E, R, A, S, D, F, and Z, X, C, V.
Yeah, so that's so that you can use the keys around your WASD to quickly. So if it's the top left box on the grid menu, then it's Q. If it's the box directly to the right of that, it'll be W, and then E, and then R, and then the second row will be ASD, and so on. I got used to not using the hotkeys in this game, I would probably be a lot better if so if we're looking at now I've switched it. If I can click on Titans and you can see this is what you guys are seeing. I prefer not to use it. So I can turn it back to what I'm used to. This is not as good for hotkeys. It was better for my eyes for finding the advanced structures when I was looking for, like, especially when we have the experimental build options enabled. Um, that's why I had that. But if you want to use hotkeys, you should use the grid menu like Titan does. If you're a mouse player or you just don't care, then feel free to change it. But all it is you go to settings, you go to control, and you switch the grid menu option back and forth to do that.
Yeah, because that was gonna be my second question. Is I don't know how to use the hotkeys anyway, like how to actually make them show.
With the
I saw Titans had hotkeys.
with the grid menu enabled, it should just show up, I believe.
Oh,
It's kind of weird because you have to open the category and then you can click a hotkey to select the building. So if you're going into like economy, you have to click Z and then you can see the rest of the hotkeys and then you can actually press a hotkey to
Yes.
pick one of the structures in that category. You have to open the category first. Yeah.
so you have to open it with the hotkey and not with the mouse. Otherwise,
Yes.
they
you
won't
can
show.
open it with the mouse,
So
too.
for some reason,
Okay.
so for some reason, when you select an engineer, that first menu is like a quick menu for the mouse, I guess. Like you can see, it shows your 3 top used eco buildings, and then this is combat, and then this stack is utility, and then build. But if you want to actually use the hotkeys for all of these, you would press Z to now you're in the build menu, and the advanced fusion is still there, just like it was previously, and now you can press the hotkey to select it,
Yeah,
and then when you
'cause
shift,
that
go
was
back.
exactly what was confusing me. No hotkeys on the main builder screen.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's a little bit odd to get used to. That's why. I was playing before they introduced that grid menu, and that's why I still don't use it. To be honest, I would probably be a lot better at the game if I just got used to using the hotkeys. I'm just stubborn.
Probably forget keybinds like that. To
Alright.
be honest.
Any
return.
any other questions? Does anybody else have any other questions?
Yes, what did I miss?
Oh my god, you're gonna have to watch the video. Watch the video when the video
Video.
Quick
uploads.
recap. Quick recap.
I'm good.
We discussed early into late game scaling. Late game was going to be a separate thing, but Titan kind of got into it, and it was very convenient to just show it. We discussed scaling wind turbines and how to use them effectively. Titan got into numbers a little bit for us. He talked about how it is roughly 8 wind turbines to every 1 T1 converter. It is roughly 1 fusion to 1 advanced converter, and roughly 1 advanced fusion to every 4 advanced converters. And you can use that as kind of a general guideline when you're expanding. And we also discussed the threshold at which point it becomes less important to pay attention to numbers than it is to just toss down a ridiculous brick of eco with a bunch of construction power on it and let it run while you focus on microing units. We also discussed the importance of reclaiming not only the trees and things around the map, but also reclaiming old inefficient structures and units to get an injection of metal into your economy to scale even faster. You recycle that metal.
I'm just gonna remember all this is my question.
Well, the good news is that this will be up as a video on the YouTube channel for you guys to rewatch at your leisure. So if you forget something, you can go back and watch the video and skim through to find what you need. And of course, you can also ask me and Titan questions. The whole point of this was that we would explain this to you guys as often as we needed to get you guys to help. Like, you don't worry if you don't remember everything the first time. If you want to take one thing away from this whole thing to implement immediately, one thing and one thing only, and worry about remembering the rest later, wind. Scale your wind. Scale your wind. Scale your wind. Scale your wind. Match your T1 converters and build power to how much resources you have, but keep scaling wind. You can scale wind into like the 20-minute mark and still be doing better than fusions if it's on a map with good wind like this one.
Not
A
fun to test.
sleeper agent activated in me when you said QWER.
Yeah.
A hating sleeper agent activated in me.
All right.
Fucking lead player.
Yeah,
Oh my
that's
God.
what we remember. Yay.
I do want to ask a question to everybody here. Do we at least feel maybe a bit more competent or confident in the abilities to generally
Yeah,
just
how do
play
we-
the
I
game?
do.
We feel. Do
In
we feel?
theory.
In
I need to
theory,
know the numbers, honestly. I needed those because I understand it now.
Okay.
Less
okay.
confused.
less
I
confused.
also need to remember.
I'm literally
Meow.
flying.
So the it is. Don't be surprised. Like it's even just with the wind scaling, it'll take a couple times probably to like practicing it, remembering to do it, making a point of like I actually the first couple times when I was getting used to doing it, I was like, I don't care about winning. I want to care about not stalling eco, keeping up in eco. Nothing else matters. I'm gonna just focus on making sure I'm doing the eco correctly, getting my build order the way that I want it. And surprise, surprise, I actually ended up doing really well once I started doing that. And suddenly I was like, oh, actually, I have a lot of time to do the other things I wanted to do. Now I'm keeping up with Titan a lot better. Titan's probably still faster than me, but I'm definitely giving him a much bigger run for his money than I was before.
That's what you
100%. And I want to say these are basically the same things I explained to Xenos, and he was able to get a very much better grasp of the game. He was taking map control a lot quicker, and the more he plays, the better he gets. So I want to kind of
Yeah, Xenos is a leading example of how to apply this because he went from a corner sitter building 87 beamer turrets every game to now he's he's still not really keeping up, but he's taking map control. He's putting out attack forces. He's attacking, like actually moving out to attack Titan and me when we're playing, and he does well. He's a credible threat now. So even applying just the very basics of what we talked about, you will find yourself doing a lot better.
100%.
I am just gonna have trouble remembering how to do the units.
Down on a notebook next to my computer.
Right. All right. I'm gonna go ahead and end the recording here. We can, if you guys want to stick around in the VC, we could definitely do a practice match or two to see how you guys feel about it. Go ahead and immediately put it into practice. But
Sure.
in the meantime, for what's gonna be it for the YouTube video. So thank you all so much for watching. We'll see you in the next one. Cheers.